Browns 0-8 at home. Just sad.
I haven't heard you this down since Dr. Brown got fired. It's a game that we were in, and it's a game that we just don't finish.
I don't want to watch anymore.
Why? Why does that happen? I'm so sick of watching those plays.
0-16.
I definitely do not want to watch it all 22.
That's up and down to me. That looks like dysfunction. Surviving the season 3, episode 11. We're back, bitches. We are doing our 53-man roster show. We are going to tell you exactly who the Browns are keeping for this regular season. Live from the Baywater Studios in Tampa, Florida. I am one of your hosts, Adam, and Greg is here.
Yo, what's going on?
Wow, you sound amazing.
Yes. Somebody, who was it? That was Mike Skinner. Said I sound terrible last episode, so I ran out, bought a laptop, got an actual mic hooked up to it, doing professional things.
Wow. We are really stepping it up here at Surviving the Season. The 53-man roster, what did you think overall? How difficult was this?
Well, I got down to the end. It seemed like 43 guys were locks, and then 10 guys were up in the air. I was basically choosing from 20. There's 10 open roster spots, in my opinion, and there's 20 guys battling for those.
Yeah, I think that's what I had. I think I had 9 at-large spots. As we get to some of these ones that are on the edge, we're going to talk about those more in depth because I'm not real happy with my selections in a couple of these spots.
It gets tough. That's for sure.
Yeah. Why don't we do what you were just saying? Let's sort of go through maybe our locks.
Okay.
And then we'll get in a little bit deeper. Get my roster up. What an asshole! I didn't have it up. God. All right.
How dare you?
Quarterback position seems like one of the easiest ones of the whole roster.
Brogan Robach all the way.
I dispense with a Brogan joke because he's getting cut. We'll say Tyrod number 1, Baker number 2, Stanton number 3.
Yep. You can lock that one up.
Okay, done. Thanks for listening.
Yep. No need to even discuss that one, is there? You want to get into the stats here a little bit with the quarterbacks?
Yes. Let's fire away on that.
Okay, so I'm going to use Pro Football Focus's. They got the premium stats on there, so it breaks it down pretty nice for you. Total dropbacks, Mayfield's got 56 so far. He's 26 of 45 right now. That's a 57.8 completion percentage for 363 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. His yards per attempt is 8.1. That right now is above what your normal league average is. And then when you get to Tyrod, who's had 34 dropbacks, so 22 less than Baker. He's 20 of 28. He's completing 71.4% of his passes, which is very good, but only for 186 yards, and his yards per attempt is 6.6 with 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions. So he's completed only 6 less balls than Baker, but for almost for nearly his yards are cut in half. He's 186, Baker's 363. So Baker's just pushing the ball down the field. Obviously, you have one big play from Callaway where it was like 55 yards. That's going to help out your stats. But I think nobody's going to argue right now. The difference is Baker seems to be a little bit more patient with the routes, hit the guys downfield a little bit more. Tyrod a little bit quicker to take the quick throws.
Yeah, I'm looking at Tyrod. Well, in week 3 there that we just played, he only had 1 opportunity beyond 10 yards, and that was a deep shot down the left side.
Yeah.
He's literally nothing over 10 yards, and then, Mayfield was 3 of 3. And those are Mayfield's highest rated throws, like those are important throws to make. We've been talking about it. You've got to be able to throw the ball downfield to get first downs when it's 3rd and long.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you look at Tyrod's rating, NFL rating, the way they do it, he's a 101.2, and Mayfield's an 89.4. But to me, that's just not a very good rating to go by. It's just always sort of skewed. The thing that's more important here is your yards per attempt. And then if you're just if you go by the Pro Football Focus grading scale, they have Baker ahead. He's at 81.7 overall, 83.1 in with the pass, and then Tyrod's a 65.4 overall, 68.2 in the pass, and it's a lot to do. There, once again, this is a small sample size, but this is a lot to do with what you're asked to do and how good are you at doing it. I don't think you mentioned this to me the other day. We haven't talked about it on the show, but they really haven't done a lot of RPOs and the things that Baker did in college with the quick passing games. They did a lot of quick play action and then hit the tight end behind the linebackers. Now I remember one in particular, but I don't think there's been a number of those in his 56 dropbacks.
Yeah. No, it's been interesting play calling. They're definitely giving him a lot more multiple read routes.
Yeah. So it's good for him. I think that's a good thing. Baker's definitely, you can tell he sees the field. You can tell he's working through progressions. He's taken 4 sacks. Tyrod's taken 2. You'd like to see that number. And in just 56 dropbacks, you don't want to be getting sacked once every 12 times you drop back. But it's almost what it is. And then, it is more than that. I'm sorry. And then it's every 13, every 14. He's had 1 drop. Tyrod hasn't had anybody drop the ball yet, but it's pretty close. I think it's a lot closer than what we think. But when the glaring one is Tyrod in his 20 completions, 186 yards, and Mayfield's 26, 363. That's a
big number.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you're interested in what Coach Stanton has, he's 1 for 7. That's a 14.3 completion percentage. He's a 46.5 overall, 46.8 in the pass game graded. So his stats are pretty ugly. He's nowhere near even what Brogan Robach's done, who's 2 for 4 with 22 yards.
There it is, the complete quarterback breakdown. Let's get on to the running backs here.
If Drew Stanton had no value as a coach, he was a completely worthless player.
Yeah. Agreed. You ready for running backs?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. I've got 4 that are what we're calling our 4 sures. Mm-hmm. Number 1 will be Hyde. Number 2, Chubb. 3, Duke Johnson. And 4, Dan Vitale.
Yeah, I think you have to include Vitale here right now. I would imagine they're going to have to keep 1 fullback. Plus, he gives you special team snaps. The one you didn't mention is Days. I think Matt Days has a chance to make this roster, but it really is going to come down to how many defensive linemen they end up keeping, how many DBs they end up keeping. Right now, it looks tough. He's definitely a bubble guy. But yeah, Hyde for sure, Chubb for sure, Duke for sure. No matter what, I imagine Vitale's a sure thing because he's the only fullback. If we want to get into the stats a little bit with these guys. It's been Carlos Hyde all the way. We know that. He's had 17 carries for 108 yards. That's a 6.4 average. Compare that to Chubb, who's actually run 40 times in 3 games. Workhorse mentality through the preseason for Mr. Nick Chubb, but only for 110 yards, a 2.8 yard per carry average. The interesting thing about Chubb, he's averaging 2.8 yards per carry, but he's averaging 2.6 yards after contact. So there really hasn't been too many lanes for Chubb to run through.
Yeah, that's an interesting point there.
I mean, in the same fashion, Carlos Hyde's averaging 6.4 yards per carry after contact. So he's got a number of where remember the stiff arm went for a big that he got on Jalen Mills this last game. So as soon as he touches him, they count that as any yardage after that, yards after contact. He's broken off a couple of pretty solid runs. Duke.
One point I want to make of Vitale. Oh, go ahead with Duke first. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, and Duke's only had 8 carries so far. 8 carries, 43 yards, 5.4 average, and they're just really limiting Duke.
Any pass catches, or is that?
I'm not looking at that right now.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry, I can bring that up. He's got a couple catches.
Is going to have to be healthy also to make the team. I know he's been battling injuries all through this preseason. I don't even think he's played yet, so we're assuming that he's healthy before saying he's going to make this team for sure.
Right. Well, you're right, too. Duke has 0 catches on the year so far. Hyde's caught 2 out of 2 passes. Chubb's caught 3 out of 3. Not much going in the pass game for either of those guys so far. Chubb did have the one nice, what do you go for 12 yards on one of them, but has 12 overall yards. Hyde in his 2 catches, he's got negative 10 yards, so that's not going too well. We're not throwing the ball to the running backs very well yet, but you got to imagine Duke Johnson's going to be a huge part of that. And they're just limiting what they're doing with Duke at this point.
Yeah, for sure. So that's 7 so far. We'll put Days on the bubble and see if we have room when we come back. Dontrell Hilliard is going to be a cut. He is practice squad eligible if you want to get him over there.
Yeah.
Wide receivers. Number 1, Gordon. Number 2, Landry. Number 3, Higgins. Number 4, Callaway. And that's the 4 that I have for sure.
I think you can put Ratley on that list. Not only is he a John Dorsey guy, but he's been elevated to first-team reps here with a couple of the other guys out. I think it's safe to say they're going to end up keeping Ratley.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. That's probably 5 blue chippers.
Yeah, and then after that, now we're in a discussion for, are they just going to keep 6 guys? No, that would be the normal number, I would say, for the most part. You're going to keep 6 wide receivers. That would be C.J. Board, Jeff Janis, Derek Willis, and who am I forgetting? Damari Scott. And really, Janis has the most amount of snaps on, right? It's really close, maybe, on special teams. And he's got the most experience there, so that might give him the leg up. C.J. Board has returned some punts, but fumbled. C.J. Board's probably been the best receiver out of those 4, in my opinion. It's going to come down to you. Are you keeping a special teams guy here? Or are you keeping a guy with a little bit of promise? I think you still have a chance to get Willies and Scott on your practice squad as well, and C.J. Board for that matter. Janis is probably isn't it limited how many years you've had, and if you can go to the practice squad?
Yeah, practice squad. You have to have less than 1 year accrued. If you do have 1 year accrued and you played 9 games, you're not eligible. So you have to play less than 9 games. Jeff Janis is not practice squad eligible.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Everybody else is.
So that I wonder if that will play into any of it. But I think we're fighting over 1 spot, possibly 2, depending on how many of these other positions you're going to keep. If we just want to look at the receiving summary, the receiving so far, anybody standing out to you in particular?
Well, I like what Higgins is coming in doing here in his 3rd year, stepping up in the absence of Ricardo Lewis, who's down with the neck. Callaway on and off the field. Gordon hasn't been around, and Higgins has done his best to turn off that fucking alarm. These assholes. And Higgins has done his best to step right into the role and make the best of his opportunity. And now, I mean, he's basically making the team for sure.
Rashard Higgins alert. 8 receptions on 10 targets for him, 113 yards. He's one of the highest graded. He's the 3rd highest graded receiving. So that's tight ends and wide receivers included here, and running backs. He's got a 73.3 overall, 70.6 in the receptions. C.J. Board is actually the highest graded overall wide receiver with an 83.6, 82.6 receiving grade by PFF, Pro Football Focus. He's got 5 receptions on 6 targets for 54 yards. So, that's just some numbers there for you to think about. Other than that, everybody else has been relatively pedestrian. Callaway's got a 66.9 overall, 67.4 for Ratley. Jarvis Landry's a 59.6, probably due to a couple of, he's got 2 penalties. That doesn't help out when it comes to a grading aspect. So Landry, 5 catches on 10 targets. So he's got the targets up there, but only 59 yards. That's an 11.8 yards per reception, which is actually higher than what he was last year. I believe he was like 9 yards a catch last year in Miami.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Wasn't great.
So we've got 5 down. We're including Ratley with the other 4. Mm-hmm. That is 12 total so far of our 53. Let's move on to tight end. We're going to assume we're keeping 3 here, correct?
Yeah. I think there's 3 for sure and maybe a possible 4th. I would say Njoku and Fells is 100%. I would say DeVelve is in there 100%. Other people seem to think he's on the bubble. He may be. And I guess it could be him between him and Cajuste. I think you put DeVelve in there and then you decide if you want to keep a 4th tight end, in my opinion.
Yeah, if they want to, so there's some interesting work here with DeValve. He can't go to the PUP because he didn't start the preseason on the PUP. If they wanted to get him to the IR, they would have to waive him injured. And then he'd have to clear waivers, and then you could put him on the IR, and then, you could designate him to come back later in the season. Whatever this calf injury is, it must be bad. He can't practice.
Well, he's not practicing yet, but I still thought that he was close, is what Hugh Jackson was saying. He's not that far away, I assume, but I don't know. I wish I did a little bit more homework to try to find out where he is. I can't imagine it's that bad where he's going to be out for. What if you go on the what is it called? The one you said he could get
the IR. Then
the IR. How long you got to be out for?
What's that? 8 weeks or 10 weeks?
Yeah,
I mean it's a long time.
Right.
He's not eligible for the PUP, and if you just put him to, if he does go to the IR, you're paying him for the whole year too. Yeah, so he's going to have to be healthy to take a spot. I mean, they're not going to put him on the 53 if he can't play.
Well, okay, that's. I guess that's the case. I wonder how far away he is.
If they knew this was going to be a lingering issue, I wonder if they would have started him on the PUP list so that they could have put him on the PUP to begin the season and then dealt with it in 6 weeks. This is all just hypothetical because I have no idea whatever this is. It's definitely lingering longer than they thought.
1 hour ago. Let me just read this real quick. Seth DeVell working towards return. Worked out on the side of practice Sunday from Nate Ulrich of the Akron Beacon Journal. His Sunday work seems to indicate he's progressing in his recovery, hoping to show his worth in Thursday's preseason finale against the Lions, is what Ulrich says. So it seems like he's pretty close here.
Okay.
So I don't think he would be starting on any type of. I think he wouldn't be out for 8 weeks. That.
Okay, so we don't need the designation.
Yeah.
Okay, let's put him in as one of the 3. That brings us up to 15. Cajuste is practice squad eligible as well.
He is, okay, and he's the bubble guy here, so he has a chance.
Yeah. Stephen Baggett and Orson Charles are cut.
Packing up your stuff.
Yeah,
that will be the thing too. Hard Knocks. So I know you're not a Hard Knocks vet, I guess you haven't watched a ton of it before this year. When it comes down to that last show and the guy comes in, they always have it's sort of like the Grim Reaper walking around the building to let you know that your football career has just died. And if he tells you to grab your playbook and go see the coach, that just means you died right there. You have it's over for you, at least in that town, in that city. So that guy is either much maligned or people tend to respect him quite a bit because he might have some kind of really good personal relationships with these guys. So even though he's bringing the bad news, guys can accept that. At least it was him letting me know. So that will be interesting. Find out who the Grim Reaper is for the Browns coming up. That is interesting. Yeah.
That
will be after preseason game 4, obviously, is when they do all the cuts this year. So usually in the past, because they didn't do the cuts early, they had a couple shows of cuts. So then they might have done, segments on, like the Cajuste segment. He could be one getting cut early. And then, there's a lot of tears on Twitter. There's a lot of tears on Facebook for those guys. But so now this year, you're going to get that mass cut, and there's going to be a whole lot of hurt feelings. And we went through this, and I've done it, and I'm telling you, it's tough to cut. There's a number of these guys because there's some good players on this team.
Yeah. It's never easy when you're trying to get 90 to 53 in one day.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a lot of beat downs. Any notable stats that you wanted to go through with the tight ends?
David Njoku is your highest rated one right now. He's got 7 targets, 6 receptions, 71 yards, and of course the 2 touchdowns. He's the 79th .0 is his overall rating, 79.6 reception grade. Pass blocking, he's struggled. He's a 40.5 right now in the pass blocking. So you'd like to see him get that up because you do actually. I mean, you're not going to get a lot of David Njoku pass blocking, but when you're running a lot of times all those 2-man routes, when you're running a play action, and of course you'll have Josh Gordon. You need to give Josh Gordon enough time to fly down the field 60 yards, and hopefully Baker hits him right between the numbers, or Tyrod. And David's got to be able to hold his block a little bit better than what he has in the past. So, but he's the highest overall rated one. Darren Fells, he's the opposite. So his reception grade is a 59.1. It's down there. Overall 60.8, but his pass blocking 70.4.1. That's the thing they brought in Darren Fells for. He's going to give you that blocking that we actually have not had, and in the run game as well. He's got 3 targets for 2 receptions on those 3 targets for 6 yards. And then Kajus, who he's caught 3 out of his 3 passes for 53 yards, 17.7 yards per reception, which is very, very good. 68.3 overall grade, 66 in the reception category, and then 51 in the pass block. So, he's got some nice receptions, nice big plays. It's 26-yard gain on the one where, if you remember, Baker Mayfield hit him over the middle of the field for a long first down.
Yep. All right. So Kajus is a bubble guy. We're not including him right now. We'll circle back around. But right now we got 15. We're going to move on to the offensive line. I think last year we kept 10 offensive linemen.
Yeah. Did we? Is that what it was? It's either 9 or 10.
So, but right
you know
now
what? I don't think 10 seems like too much.
Yeah.
I think it's 9 is what they'll probably keep.
Yeah. Right now we have 7 penciled in for sure.
Yep.
So let's cover them. At the center position, Treader's going to start, Ryder's going to back up. Both players have done actually really good work out of the center position. That has been just fine. Yeah,
right. Treader's played 71 snaps, 61.4 overall grade, 85.6 pass blocking, but he's he doesn't have a ton of size. And this is where he lacks, is really getting a big push in that run game. And he's only got a 53.0 grade. Ryder has played 113 snaps, 64.5 overall, 61.7 in the pass blocking, 63.9. And then Anthony Fabiano is the third center. He's only gotten 16 snaps up to this point, so we can assume it's very highly likely that Anthony Fabiano will be cut.
Yeah. Also practice squad eligible. Moving on to the guards, Zeitler, who interestingly enough returned today, I believe. They mentioned he is ready to go. He will start on the right side. It looks like Austin Corbett is going to start on the left side. And Spencer Drango has 184 snaps this preseason. We're going to pencil him in for the third guard spot for right now.
That's 3 full games worth for Corbett and Drango, 184 snaps. And that's what we were talking about the other day. It's Avery Genesi. Is that how you pronounce his name?
I don't know.
Okay, that's how much he's played. We don't even know. And then Jeff Gray, they both have 8 snaps. Those are their backup guards.
And
some dude named Fred.
Fred Lauina.
Yeah, 16 snaps. So those guys are gone. Lauina, Genesi, if that's your name, Gray, pack your bags, boys. You're out of here.
Yep. All 3 practice squad eligible, just for conversational sake. And now let's move on to the tackles, because this one is, I thought, the interesting one. It looks like Bitonio has done just fine from the left tackle spot, and he is going to be starting there. And Chris Hubbard on the right side. That's the only 2 that I can pencil in for sure right now.
Yeah, I think there's either 1 or 2 spots here for Robinson, between Greg Robinson, Desmond Harrison, and Sean Coleman. It might only be one of those guys making the team. The one thing I was thinking that they could do is, if you have an injury at guard, you could slide Bitonio back in, and then if you ended up keeping 2 tackles, you still have Robinson and Coleman, or Robinson and Harrison. Right now, it looks like Greg Robinson probably has the leg up for that job. He's played 84 snaps. Sean Coleman's got 94, but the longer the camp's gone on, the more Greg Robinson's been playing and the less Sean Coleman's been playing. So Robinson's done a nice job. He's 82.1 overall, 72 in the pass game, and this is where he's been really good, is on those down blocks, 85 run grade. He's a big man, and he really gets things moving in the run game. He just really struggles sometimes in pass protection, as we've seen. Sean Coleman's a 67.3 overall, 64.8 in the pass blocking, and 72.5 in the run. So it's not like that's better than average. It's not like he's been terrible, Sean Coleman, but he hasn't been great. And then their competition is Desmond Harrison, who is an undrafted rookie. He's played 2 games, got 53 snaps in. He's a 62.7 overall, 58.6 in the pass, and 62.3 in the run. And he is eligible for the practice squad, right?
Yeah. The only one that wouldn't be is Coleman and Robinson, of course.
And Robinson. But... Yeah. So if I were to bet money here, and if they only keep one, it's going to be Robinson. If they keep 2, I would think it would be Robinson and Coleman, because Harrison has a chance, and he really still needs to develop. He's not very big. He looks pretty slight, and he
listed 6'6", 295.
Okay, he looks skinnier than that even, but I think he's almost 25 years old, so it's not like he's a young prospect by any means. This is a tough call. So there's 3 guys right there on the bubble that we'll have to come back and discuss at the end.
For right now, we're putting in the 7 for sures. That brings us up to 22.
I really feel like you can throw Greg Robinson into that group for sure, too, the way it seemed.
Okay, let's do it. We'll put Greg Robinson in. We're starring him up. That brings us to 23. Coleman, Harrison on the bubble, cutting Kevin Bowen, who just came in recently, Avery Jesse, and Anthony Fabiano, all 3 practice squad eligible. Now, on to the defensive line. Your top star there is Ogunjobi. Jamie Meter.
Yeah, I think Jamie Meter's good. Ogunjobi for sure. Brantley. And
Trevin Coley are the 4 that I have marked down to make this team.
I think that's a pretty sure thing there, which leaves Zaycove and Henderson will be. I don't think there's a chance in hell he makes it. I think he will be a practice squad guy. How many practice squad guys do we keep?
You can get 10.
Okay. And that's what we're going to have, honestly. We're going to have 10 guys, right, that we talked about. That's what we were saying. We got 10 spots for 20 different guys, but not all 10 of those guys that would be left over will be practice squad eligible. Most likely, anyways.
Yeah, you assume everyone that we've talked about could slip through waivers anyway. So I don't know. Maybe Fabiano could be of use somewhere.
Yeah.
Because he has a little bit of experience moving around the line.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that,
well, I would say Zaycove and Henderson is for sure going to be a guy they target to get on the practice squad. The one we didn't talk about is Chad Thomas. That's up in the air, in my opinion. He hasn't done enough yet to earn a spot. Now, he started off slowly, obviously, with the injury. He's played 44 snaps, in just the 2 games. He missed the first game coming off the injury. 57.1 overall. 63 in the run defense, and a 50.4 in the pass rush. So his stats are almost nothing. Let me see if I can look here. It's what we got. Two tackles.
Yeah.
2 tackles, and those are 2 run stops. So 44 plays, he's got his number called twice. There's just not a lot of production there. This is a third-round pick, though.
Third-round draft pick, yeah.
I know. So that's the problem. So this is a Dorsey guy. So it tells me that he's going to find a way to keep him one way or another, but I don't know if he absolutely deserves to make the squad. So I just circled him. I think that he'll come down to a battle at the end. I have a 3-way battle for my last spot, so we'll get to that once we get there, but
all right, so we'll take the 4. Ogunjobi, Meter, Brantley, Coley. That brings us up to 27. Let's move over to our edge rushers.
Miles Garrett on the list, or what are you thinking with him?
Garrett is going to be close. I mean, he's a bubble guy, but I'll go ahead and pencil him in at the number 1 spot. Agba and Carl Nassib as the 3 for sures for me.
Yeah, where is it at? 30. He's got 30 snaps. Or 30 pass rushes, 8 8 pressures, 2 sacks, 2 hits, 4 hurries. His grade, Garrett's grade is a 92 in the pass rush. He's a 90.6 overall. I mean, just absolutely, just a straight up stud, man. So yeah, he's for sure. Agba and Nassib are for sure. Nassib is really outplaying Agba right now. Agba has almost done nothing to this point.
Is that because they've using him inside now again? It's like a little.
I don't know what it is yet. Yeah, Avery's been so good. I don't know. I don't know what's going on yet.
Yeah,
he just had. I mean, his grade is a 46.8. 45 in the run defense and 48.2 in the pass rush. So, I mean, he really hasn't done anything. You want to talk about somebody that has no stats at all? He's got 1 goddamn tackle. So Agba's been a pretty disappointing guy, and he's missed a tackle too. I don't know what's going on. He's got too much talent that you're just not going to give up on him. But I think he's been outplayed by Carl Nassib so far. Nassib's played 56 snaps. He's got a 65.7 overall grade, 69.8 in the run, and 53.8. So neither one of them are really rushing the passer very well. But if you go to Avery's got a 75.2 pass rush grade. He's got 5 pressures, 1 sack, 4 hurries in just 23. He's only rushed the passer 23 times. So he's really been filling that up and making that role well. And now he's hurt, of course, but it's somebody that role we need filled. He's filling it there for us. So
yeah, Avery's almost been playing edge. We're going to talk about him in the linebackers, but
yeah, I'm considering him an edge myself. I know that we had him under linebackers when we were talking about this last night, but he's an edge right now. So I think Orchard and Chris Smith are on the bubble here. Just because it's a John Dorsey guy, I'm going to guess that he keeps Chris Smith over Orchard. Orchard's not really meant for the style of defense that we're playing anyways. Let me look at their grade because how they doing on there?
They've both played a ton of snaps because they're playing with like the second team.
Yeah, Orchard's got 96 snaps and Chris Smith's got 95. So Orchard's a higher overall grade when it comes to PFF grading. He's a 67.5 overall, 66.5 in the run game, and a 58 in the pass rush. Now, this is where Chris Smith should really he should be adding more, and he does. His stats are a little bit better. He's got 2 sacks so far, 7 hurries, 7 pressures from Chris Smith in 95 snaps, 55.3 overall, 51.9 in the run game, 57.6 in the pass. So rushing the passer. That's a close one, and I'm not even positive that they're going to keep both. There's a chance they could cut both.
Yeah, they're both on the bubble for us right now. Lenny Jones, I've got him as a cut, and
Marcel Frazier. See you later.
Also as a cut. And the interior cutting Ekwale, Blaine Woodson, and Jeremy Falk. All practice squad eligible. Yes, Lenny Jones and Frazier are as well. So we'll put Chris Smith and Orchard on the bubble. We'll come back to them. That puts us up to 30.
Okay.
Right now, solid 30 with Nassib Garrett Agba, Ogunjobi Meter, Brantley Coley. Now moving back in the front 7 here. Linebackers. This is where I think we're going to have a cut.
This is where I think they should trade, personally. I think we need to trade one of these guys. Everybody, kind of expects it to be Jamie Collins. He's actually playing the best that he's ever played here. Now, he had that one terrible play in coverage, but if you look at his coverage grade by Pro Football Focus, they got him at 91.8 overall coverage grade. And that's what he was kind of known for when he came here, is that he can blitz. He's really good at blitzing the A gap, getting through there, applying pressure, and covering. He can kind of do a little bit of everything. And what did we do? We used him as an edge guy last year. So they get Collins away from that edge and put Avery in there, and now you can let Collins use his versatility a little bit more. I think he's just in a better role this year. And so he's earning $10 million. I don't think you can trade this guy with a $10 million price tag over his head. I know that's the one that the thought that's there, but you're just not getting anything I think Christian Kirksey would be a guy that would have more value in any kind of trade, but he seems to be a team leader at this point. So then it leaves you with Schobert. He's a young guy. You're going to trade Schobert?
No.
You got a good contract on him. You're not going to trade him. You got Kendricks, who you just picked up, and he's played pretty decent so far in his 47 snaps. He's got an 80.6 pass rush grade. He's been doing a nice job of, getting through the A gap as well, and some nice run fits. And then you have Burgess. James Burgess is another, second-year player. And honestly, he's been sort of a standout. There was the one screen play in the last game where he just absolutely blew it up. And he's had a number of run fits himself where he's getting in the backfield and making nice plays. So it's a tough cut here, and it's a tough trade. I don't even know who you would trade.
Yeah.
I guess Schobert probably has a pretty good value coming off a Pro Bowl year. You don't really need Schobert if you're going to keep Kirksey, Collins, and Kendricks and Burgess. I guess if who's the best, who has the highest value as a trade option here, in your opinion?
Well, being linebackers,
none of them,
yeah,
right?
I maybe you're right with Schobert that somebody would be willing. He's only 24. He doesn't become a free agent until 2020, so he would have 2 more years in your system. But I can't imagine more than like a 5th or a 6th round pick.
I mean, I would rather keep Schobert than Kirksey, to be honest. I've never been. I mean, we know this. I didn't really like. I felt like the reason why we signed Kirksey to the contract is because there was so much heat for. People were so angry, Daryl Ryder, that we let Taylor Gabriel get away. That, oh my God, you got to sign your own guys. That's really why I think that contract even happened. Jimmy Haslam, Pilot Flying J, went in and told Sashi basically, you got to sign some of these guys. I can't take Tony Grossi on my ass anymore about why you're letting who's the other wide receiver we let go to San Diego, the rabbit, the little we let all our 5'9" wide receivers go. Like, oh my God, dear God, how didn't we keep Paul Kruger? Geez, I just can't believe it. We couldn't retain Terrell Pryor. Oh geez, we got to sign Christian Kirksey to a $8 million a year contract. And if he's making $4 or $5 million, then you're probably not even thinking about it. But he's definitely overpaid, at least to where his play's been. Same thing with Collins. I don't know what you do here. This is tough. So, if you're counting Avery as a linebacker, then you're keeping 6. In my opinion, if you're not counting him, then you're keeping 5. And my 5 would be Schobert, Kendricks, Collins, Kirksey, and Burgess. Those ones are good. And then I'm cutting the rest. Do you have any gripes with that?
No, that would mean Brady Shelton cut, Jermaine Grace cut, and Justin Curry cut.
BJ Bello.
And then I put Bello on the outside
on the
looking
bubble.
in there.
Okay.
Based on him playing special teams last year.
That's a good point. Because so now the guys we just cut they've gotten a lot of special team snaps. You almost have no snaps for Kirksey, for Collins. Burgess has played some. Kendricks has almost no snaps. Schobert, one or two of these guys are going to have to play special teams.
Yeah, you could put Burgess right on that special teams unit. And it's an interesting spot there. So let's go with 6. That brings us up to 36. I'll keep Bello on the outside, see if we got room for him as a special teams guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that means we only have 17 more spots that we can use. That's how quick these 53 mans fill up.
Yep.
On to corners. My starters are Denzel Ward, and Terrence Mitchell are my 2 starters. And then
BBC.
I'm putting BBC in as for sure. He can also move back to safety if needed. He played free with Demarius Randall's injury in week 3 here.
Yeah, and those are the only 3 that I'm guaranteed right now. I think TJ Carey is on the bubble. I think EJ Gaines is on the bubble, especially with his injury. I think Mike Jordan is on the bubble. I think Denzel Rice is on the bubble. I think the McKinnon kid, Jeremiah McKinnon, is on the bubble. I guess you could argue Simeon Thomas, but to me, he's an automatic cut at this point. He's been, not that he's even been bad, but how I don't have any room on my roster unless this is another position we get to where it's like you can trade a corner at this point. We have so many. If somebody wants to give you something for TJ Carey, he's only really your backup nickel at this point. He was only in there playing this last game once Denzel Ward went down and BBC had to move to, once Randall went down and BBC moved to safety. That's when Carey moved in. Well, Denzel Rice has been playing just fine. Actually, he's been playing better. Denzel Rice, 85.3 this year and 81 snaps, 90 coverage grade. He's really been getting it done there. So you could keep Rice for almost nothing. I don't know how much of Carey's got a lot of guaranteed money on that. Do you remember?
$6.4 million plus his signing bonus of 3.6. So you're on the hook for, you're going to have some dead money there.
So you don't really want to cut him. I think he has some trade value, honestly. For somebody, I mean, you got to find a team that has some injury problems there. He might have some trade value. EJ Gaines might have some trade value as long as Gaines is going to be back relatively soon. Or Mike Jordan has some trade value to them. Not even that. I'm not saying you're getting a first, second, or third round pick, but you can get. If you're trading TJ Carey, I imagine you probably get a 5th or 6th round pick for him. And the guy behind him, Denzel Rice, is probably outplayed him.
Yeah.
To this point. Now, the one thing though, I'll give TJ Carey is he's actually been pretty damn good on special teams, and he also just gives you experience right there. So you don't really have to worry about him. Yeah,
and we're also going to need some special teams guys on the outside. So
when you look at all the the guys that John Dorsey signed, we talked about this, and some people were even angry that we weren't like all on board with these guys. They've just been average. They were average signs all the way around. There wasn't one guy that got signed that is just going to be a standout star. Now you make the trade for Tyrod, who looks good. It's a good acquisition there, but you gave up a 3rd round pick for him. I mean, that you're supposed to be thinking 3rd round picks are a starter in your league. And then you give up a big contract and a couple picks. Was it 2 picks that we gave up for a 4th and a 7th or whatever it was for
Landry,
for Jarvis Landry? Those aren't the guys you didn't sign him. Well, you did sign them, but it wasn't a free agent acquisition. Your free agent acquisitions really they haven't been anything to write home about. It's not like we had all these great signings. They've been what we thought they were going to be. Now it seems like Terrence Mitchell is going to be a nice little signing, and you almost paid him nothing. But it's basically like you're throwing darts at the board. You're going to bring in a number of guys and see if somebody can stick. So it's a good plan, and they didn't overspend on any of them. I don't know if we've hit a home run on any of these guys just yet. But we'll know a little bit more the further we get into the season.
Agreed. So I'm going to mark down 3. That's Ward, Mitchell, and BBC. That brings us to 39. I am. You said he could be on the bubble. I'm cutting Mike Jordan, Simeon Thomas, and Jeremiah McKinnon. Is Boutte Christian? Is he a safety or
he's a corner, I believe.
Okay, and I'm cutting him as well.
Okay,
that gives me Gaines, TJ Carey, and Denzel Rice on the bubble.
See, I'm assuming that they keep Gaines, they keep Carey, they keep Mike Jordan. I think it's going to come down to, so that would 2, 4, that's 6. That's my 6 DBs, and I'm assuming that you might keep a 7th because I think we're going to get here to the safeties. I think we only need to keep 3 safeties with BBC being going to, his versatility to play safety.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is it leaves it open there because now when you get to the safeties, Peppers is for sure, Kindred is for sure, Randall is for sure. And then I have everybody else getting cut.
So that would be Elijah Campbell, Duron Smith,
Tiggy Senko,
Montrell Meander, and Tiggy Senko.
Yep. And Meander's been all right. I could see him maybe making a practice squad or something. Duron Smith was the guy that they brought over last year. He's been all right also, but I just don't see the need for him. What's the point? You got Peppers, you got Kindred, you got Randall. BBC can go back and forth, and then that gives you a chance to keep one of those extra DBs, one of those extra corners.
Yeah. So if you take Peppers, Randall, Kindred, that would bring us to 42. Now we need to make our 3 special teams guys. Hewlett's going to be the long snapper.
Yeah.
And then I penciled in Britton Colquitt as the punter and Zane Gonzalez.
Yep, that's
as
what
the
I got.
Kicker. That brings us to 45 for Shores. So we have 8 at-large players. That's a cut then for Justin Vogel and kicker Ross Martin. If we go
So you have
back to
8
the
at-large.
offense.
Yes.
We're at 45 right now.
Who are you giving a nod to? Because I actually have mine. So the battle of 3 that I came down. Well, we'll get there because that's my last spot. But are you keeping Days? He was on the bubble.
Well, I've got 4 running backs. I can't keep a 5th.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to cut him.
Yep, I'm cutting Days as well. And then you get to the wide receiver group again. Now this was between Board, Janice, Willies, and Scott. Which one would you be keeping? And you could technically be keeping 2 if you got the room for it.
Yeah, I am going to keep CJ Board.
It's the same with me.
And then I am going to put, so that's Board, and I am going to keep Jeff Janis.
Ooh, okay.
As a
I'm
special
not
teams
keeping.
guy, I'm going to try to
Janis.
get Willies to the practice squad.
Okay. You like that size on Willies?
And also Scott as a possibility for the practice squad.
I'm cutting Janis here. I'm keeping Board. So my 6 are Gordon, Landry, Callaway, Higgins, Ratley, Board. Those are my 6.
Okay.
Are you keeping Kajus now with the tight ends?
If we have to do some sort of magic with the valve based on injury and that opens a spot, I'm going to keep Kajus. If we're keeping the valve, Kajus, I'm going to try to get him to the practice squad. Right now, I'm not counting him.
Okay. I am cutting him also.
8 at large.
Yep. I'm cutting him also. So then that takes us to the tackle spot. Are you keeping a 9th lineman between Harrison and Coleman?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. And it's going to be Harrison. I am cutting Sean Coleman.
Okay. I think that Dorsey keeps Harrison, but I would keep Sean Coleman over Harrison, and I would put Harrison on my practice squad.
That's a good point. Harrison's eligible. Coleman is not.
Yeah.
But I just feel Coleman's, the way they've went away from him, from left tackle to right tackle to backup right tackle to basically not playing, it just seems like they've completely phased him out of the team.
It doesn't look good. The prognosis is bad.
That's exactly why I think Coleman's getting cut. So,
right. That's why I prefaced John Dorsey probably keeping Harrison. I would do it the opposite way. Keep Coleman, practice squad for Harrison.
So that's only one. That's 9 offensive linemen. That's okay. That'll be enough.
Yep. I don't know. Yeah, I think so. Why not?
I've got 5 at large. You have 6 moving forward here.
Okay.
Here for the defensive line, we kept 7.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to fit Chad Thomas in.
You are,
Chris
okay.
Smith in.
I'm getting Chris Smith in. I'm cutting Orchard. Chad Thomas, I'm still up in the air. Chad Thomas, it's going to be for me. Chad Thomas versus Denzel Rice or Jeremiah McKinnon for my last spot. So I still don't know.
Still close. Okay. So you got Smith in. So you still have 4 spots?
I thought I had 5.
Oh, you'd have 5. Yeah. Okay. I have 3 left. I'm going to have to cut Bello because I don't have room.
Yep. I had already cut Bello myself.
Okay. And so now I'm going to, with my 3 remaining spots, I'm going to grab 3 defensive backs.
Okay. And I'm going to take Carey, Gaines, and Mike Jordan myself for sure. And then do I have one or
Carey, Gaines, and Rice?
And Rice. Okay. Do I have 1 or 2 guys?
Gaines, and I am full at 53. You took Board, Harrison, Chris Smith, Carey, Gaines, Jordan.
I took Board Coleman, first of all. Board Coleman, not
Chris
Harrison.
Smith. Yeah.
Chris Smith, yeah.
So you have 2 spots remaining.
Okay. So it looks like I can get 2. So I will put Chad Thomas on there.
Okay.
You know, this is where you go back and you wonder if you add Janice just for that special teams guy. Because now it's between Rice or McKinnon. Now, McKinnon's an outside corner, and Rice is... I feel like if you're keeping TJ Carey here and you got BBC, you don't need a third. What's the need for a third nickel guy? But you also don't need a 5th outside corner. We got Ward, we got Mitchell, we got Gaines, we got Jordan. You know, I almost don't need one of these guys, but I'm going to go ahead and keep Jeremiah McKinnon here.
All right.
And
Interesting.
Chad Thomas. So I'm going to cut Denzel Rice. Tough cut. Very tough cut. But I would try to move EJ. Like I said, I would be trying to move TJ Carey before.
Yeah. We're a little packed there. Yeah, so you got 9 defensive linemen, 6 linebackers. Yeah, okay. I think this is a pretty good, realistic outlook here on this 53-man, barring any injuries this week.
Right. Well, yeah, there's always that. So that will throw a wrench in the whole plan here.
Yeah.
And when that's all said and done, I guess we could have a different outlook. But you pretty much know what these guys are at this point.
That's right. Okay, I guess we can wrap.
Yep. That's that.
Awesome. There's our surviving the season 53-man outlook. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. You can hit us up on Twitter at STS Podcasts. Our email is survivingtheseason@gmail.com. Can support us on Patreon, patreon.com/STS Podcasts. Greg, any final words?
No.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, rating us up, sharing the show with your friends. We appreciate it very much. Tell them how to get podcasts. Here's what you hit in your phone. Here's Surviving the Season. Enjoy. Thank you so much. Greg, tell them what we say.
Keep on surviving.